Yeah, it's
And
Monday night.
we're live.
And it's Monday, and it's Lock and Load, and we're not talking about Yankee Marshall or Hanging Chaz or whatever people were yelling about on gun channels in the lobby the other day. Or when was it?
I think it was Wednesday when there was the roundtable discussion by a bunch of people who claimed to represent the community, but really it was just a commercial.
It was a commercial for people who want YouTube subscribers in spite of the fact that YouTube doesn't pay people that do gun channel shows. So, anyway, I thought it was more important that there was a Zero Hedge article, which I can't find the bookmark for anymore because NSA hacked my computer and they don't want anything on nuclear weapons. But in essence, what the article said is that Russia accidentally sent North Korea its super EMP nuclear design, nuclear warhead design for a super EMP. So if that's what they're working on, could be big problems. But then I did watch another YouTube channel that had a Russian general colonel's evaluation of North Korea, and it has a lot of problems, including 1950s era equipment, although it does have the largest army, I think, on the planet as far as just men under arms. But they don't have any food. Their weapons are out of date. Their navy is ridiculously out of date, and the main problem is no allies to help them at all. So whether they can get a nuke off, I don't know. But it's something it's one of those things that you add to the you hope doesn't happen list, but try and be somewhat prepared for. I don't know how to prepare for a nuclear war, really, but you might want to think about it. All right, I wanted to have a Name That Gun segment on this show. So I'm going to see if I can find my bookmarks on that gun. Hopefully I didn't lose them, too. Oh, yeah, here they are. Let's see, I bet Squib will get it first. You were actually a little closer than I thought when you made your guess, but wait a minute, I think I'm on the wrong bookmark. Here's my bookmarks. The first hint will be the incredible muzzle velocity of this thing with the proper load. And it had simultaneous multiple ignition powder bags with spacers. And it's a big gun. Let me see if I could find the government, exact government report from the proving grounds at Yuma. I do have a picture of it, but I think I'll save that for the last hint if nobody else gets it. Let's see. Yeah, this is it. It's a PDF with military stuff. You get the exact, yeah, here it is. 16.
Do you want me to just out and say it?
Well, go ahead. I'm going to give one more hint first, because I want to say what the muzzle velocity is before you guess what it is. Muzzle velocity. Scrolling down this PDF is taking a minute. It's in Arizona. It hasn't been fired since the 1960s, but the muzzle velocity, I mean, multiple independent simultaneous ignition should be a dead giveaway to what it is, but I do want to stay with the muzzle velocity. It's just because it's so ridiculously high. It's over 7,000 feet per second. 7,100 feet per second. Okay, what you say? What you think it is?
It's the HARP gun.
Yeah, the High Altitude Research Project.
It looks like a Mark 7 16-inch
It has a
main gun on
it has
steroids.
It has a muzzle extension, and I'm gonna bump up the. Let me pull up the satellite photo of it. Yeah, I was like, wow, 7,100 feet per second muzzle velocity. That was so. I was the other hint that I was going to say is that the designer was assassinated in Belgium. But anyway, that's the.
Hey, Patrick, when Hawaii and I were talking about this a couple days ago off air, that's one of the first things I said when he was trying to give me hints, is that it was an atomic cannon, like
it wasn't.
Atomic anti. Well, see, you were saying biggest gun, and I'm thinking biggest gun as far as barrel size, the diameter, the length.
Well, he built a big one that he was assassinated for Iraq later, but yeah, it wasn't as big. It had a muzzle extension. It's kind of like two Mark 7 naval guns, but it didn't fire. They didn't use standard naval powder to achieve that velocity.
Well, look, I mean, for all intents and purposes, you want the biggest gun in America, and Alaska's part of America. So I nominate the Grand Cannon from Robotech, as it is the biggest gun I've ever seen. It was able to take out half the Zentradi fleet.
Zentradi? Who are the Zentradi?
Zentradi are an alien race of warriors that were artificially created by the Robotech masters and sent to Earth to capture the SDF-1, and
I didn't see that on Zero. I didn't see the FDS F1 anywhere on the internet, but I didn't really do a search for it. So,
well, the Grand Cannon is a gigantic reflex cannon built into the ground. It is a deep man-made tunnel with all the.
Okay, but the designer of the HARP gun was assassinated.
Go back to reality. I like my fantasy.
The guesses are that Mossad assassinated him because he built a gigantic gun for Saddam Hussein, and he was assassinated in Brussels, Belgium, while Saddam was still alive. And there's some pictures of that gun on the internet. You could find that it's big, but since this gun is actually sitting around doing nothing in Arizona, I was making fun with. Because I slept through Oiley's show last Thursday last week, and I came in after she and it shut it down. And I think after you left, me and Oklahoma Prepper were talking about this HARP gun, and it's like, well, it's sitting around doing nothing. Maybe we could like sell it to the Mexican drug cartels and get some money, and they could just lower the trajectory and just shoot big bales of marijuana into America.
Therefore, circumventing the wall.
Well, Oklahoma wanted them to shoot it towards his house, and he offered.
Couldn't they just do that with a trebuchet?
Well, but I think this. I'm gonna get a picture. I have a picture that I downloaded for the satellite photo of the HARP gun. Again, that's High Altitude Research Project. The problems that we had was that the designer, like the blonde by the pool, was from Canada. And so Canada paid for part of it for a while, but they had difficulty trying to get money. So there's one also in Barbados too, but the one in America is still in Arizona, sitting around in the Yuma testing grounds. I have a picture of this gun, and I just have to find it in my download folder. So that'll take I'll be looking in my download folder through next week probably. Wait, no, I called it the HARP gun. I did alphabetize this one, so actually might not take that one. This is like spelling for your kids. You were checking the paper. EFH. Hell on Wheels, Hellraiser, Hillary Idiot, Hurricane. Wait, it should be an A. It should be sooner. Han Jin, Adrian. Oh, here it is.
These are your bookmarks? No wonder you can't find a damn thing.
Here it is. Let me screen share it.
Spoiler alert, it could be rusty from setting for so many years.
It is.
There it is from a satellite. Can you see that? Is that appearing in the share?
At Lock and Load, we have a surplus KH-12 keyhole satellite from the Cold War that we use to spy on people.
The Yuma Proving Ground? Those are what those things are on the upper part of the photo are extra barrels, spare barrels. But so this is it has a muzzle extension on it, basically. It's kind of like two Mark 7 naval guns, but with muzzle extension. And how it achieves that is with I'm gonna tell you exactly what the propellant is because there's like wooden spacers and multiple bags of powder and they all are ignited simultaneously, I think electronically, but anyway, let me go back to the, just want to finish this part up. MPS 19 radar. Martlet. Projectiles. Yeah, they were firing some kind of Sabo rounds, custom designed round. 16-inch gun firings, June to November 1966. Initial series of 3 wooden slugs and 6 TMA carrying Martlet 2Cs. Some kind of Sabo round, low altitude, high velocity. They were using it to research the ionosphere, basically. Yuma Proving Grounds. For the Yuma firing, the major improvement in gun performance occurred when the 51-foot muzzle extension was added to the Barbados gun, thereby increasing the muzzle velocity. Right, and what was interesting was the different kinds of powder that they used. They weren't using the standard Navy powder. They're using some kind of British gunpowder, W something. Numbers, pressure tables. The unusual powder charge consists of 100-pound bags with igniter patches filled with black powder sewed to the bottom. Pairs of squibs were sewed to the black powder patches of every other powder bag and wired in parallel to the firing circuit. The bags were then loaded, so each bag without squib had its black powder patch in contact with a patch of bag with squib.
I'm your ordnance guy.
Thus, each bag was in direct contact with 2 squibs. This ignition system was first tested at SRI's High Water Laboratory in the expendable stub gun formed from a 20-foot section of a 16-inch tube and then a 109-foot horizontal fire 16-inch gun. This modification had the effect of reducing pressure for a fixed charge, but more importantly, a significant improvement in muzzle velocity seemed to be present. The October Yuma series verified this improvement with a new record apogee of 540,000 feet and a record muzzle velocity of 7,100 feet per second. In November, the present record apogee of 590,000 feet, that's 111 miles, was established. So I think the angle was 85-degree angle. It wasn't shooting straight up. So the I think this is kind of the powder, the WM/M at breach pressure of 50,000 PSI yields 6,200 feet per second. Early in the HARP program, it was hoped that large stocks of surplus Navy 16-inch propellant could be used, but this powder designed to launch 2,700-pound shells at 2,500 feet per second seemed to be too low burning for the high-performance HARP projectiles. As a final effort to employ this cheap available propellant, it was decided to try multi-point ignition on large charges of the naval propellant. To speed up its burning, characteristic shear lips were placed on the pusher plates to hold them in place until approximately 3,000 psi was reached. I'm trying to find the powder that they used for the Rayford equation, but it's like this PDF takes forever to scroll up. Is that a guy with a pitchfork? No, it's a rake. Okay. 5-inch firings. Wind heading versus speed and altitude. Oh yeah, there was really an interesting part on the ballistics of firing around with at that velocity and that high. If I could find it in this report. Bibliography.
So do you take this long to go shopping at the gun store when you're looking at guns?
The gun store was closed today. I really wanted to do an ammo run too, but for some reason he posted on his website it's going to be closed today. So Kona Guns has been closed all day today.
Must be a mongoose infestation.
Must be.
Well, we have mongoose over here, man, but
It's got a cold working.
Angular dispersion of gun launch projectiles. I think that, yeah, some of the shooters would be interested in this. Linear method, let's see. Although simple model of missile motion assumes that initial direction of the trajectory is that of the gun barrel, and that dispersion is due to variations in muzzle velocity and various aerodynamic effects. This is not the case. Various disturbances at the gun, muzzle, or blast, muzzle whip, sabot separation can impart linear and angular momentum to the missile. The linear momentum causes the projectile to leave the gun muzzle region in a direction which differs from that of the gun barrel, while the angular momentum induces an angular motion which damps out for a stable missile. This angular motion in conjunction with the lift force causes an oscillatory motion, in other words, an oscillation, in the trajectory so that the direction of the initial tangent and average trajectory direction can also differ, and that basically is called aerodynamic jump, which I had never heard before as far as like sighting in a rifle, even for, but anyway, aerodynamic jump. The total angle between the gun barrel and the average trajectory is called the jump angle. This angle is usually less than 5 degrees and can therefore be described by 2 rotations. And they have the exact equations on here. I'm just going to put this PDF in the Gun Channels, if anybody wants to look at these equations, in case they want to shoot a gun into outer space. There you go. The equations are at the bottom of the
Okay, you better pick up the pace or something, because over on YouTube they're talking about snow in Canada. So
pick up the pace.
I'm waiting to see some Z's.
There's snow in Canada. Well, there is snow in Canada. I mean, but what does that have to do with us?
Yes, Biker Bob, my wife likes the big guns.
Oh, okay. Right. So there's going to be a Bitcoin fork in 24 hours. And there's going to be Bitcoin Gold. If you have Bitcoin, they're going to give you Bitcoin Gold eventually. So it might take a while. So if Bitcoin Cash wasn't good enough for you at the last fork, now you get Bitcoin Gold. And the main problem with Bitcoin, besides the fact that it's good things that it's not real, is that is that compared to Litecoin, it's too slow, and the mining charges are too ridiculous. If you want to send it from place to place, they're too high, and it's not fast enough for instant transactions. Litecoin is a lot faster and has been traded atomically across the blockchain, so people can actually, without an exchange, trade Litecoin for another kind of coin. But so if you want to go to buy a cup of coffee at Starbucks after the fiat currency system has crashed, because that's not real, then you will need Litecoin. And Litecoin is still pretty cheap at around $57 or $58 a coin compared to, well, it was, Bitcoin did shoot up to 6,000 last week. I think it was 58.90 today or something like that. But it was over 6,100 for a while, and which was pretty exciting how fast it just shot up like that. Gold spiked. The metals spiked today. There was a huge spike midday because apparently there was in the 5-minute period somebody panic bought $2.7 billion worth of future contracts. It's like, I've panic bought stuff, but I've never panic bought like $2.8 billion worth of stuff, because I don't have $2.8 billion. But the news on gold is that Scotiabank is selling they've been trading gold and silver since the 16 or 1700s, and they're selling all their metals, and JP Morgan is handling the sale, and they have a huge short on the position on metals. So who knows? Maybe we could eventually actually see gold go up past 1,300 one day in the not too distant future. I know you like silver.
Yes, I like silver. It's tangible. It's real. It's on the periodic table.
And it's also heavily manipulated. So unlike Bitcoin, which is not
lightly manipulated, because everybody's taking it lightly because it's not real.
Because it's not on the COMEX. What's interesting about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is that the total market cap is like what? Double-digit billions of dollars, 50 billion, $60 billion of market cap of all the cryptos combined. However, there are trillions of dollars sitting on the sidelines waiting to jump into it. So if you haven't now, it feels to me like it's Act 1. And in Act 2, I'll be living in that $70 million mansion, and I'll have to set up my own underground shooting range up over on the cliffs above Secrets Beach on Kauai. But and landing strip for my ultralight Air Force. Plus, I will have hedgehogs.
Wait, what?
Well, ultralights. What? You have a problem with ultralights now? I mean, didn't you watch Mad Max? So we were talking before the show about that report that I had about how out of date North Korea's military is. They do have 40 relatively modern Russian jet fighters, MiG-29s, I think, but most of their air force is like MiG-17s, MiG-21s, pretty ancient technology, and their tanks are also like 1950s era T-62s, not even the upgraded ones. And what's the modern Russian tanks, or before their latest greatest one was the T-70,
T-80. I thought was, well, T-80 was the new one when I was in, so that was 20 years ago. So I don't know what they got now.
I think I did a show. I think we did a show with the parade of where their new tank had to be towed in their parade because it didn't work or something. That was like a lock and load about a year ago. When it was that show where we had the live the live video of the uh, North Korean or I think it was joint Chinese, Russian, or North Korean exercises, something like that. You remember that one? Where they were, I think the Russians were practicing an invasion, an amphibious assault or something.
I wasn't present for that. They didn't.
Yes, you were. You just don't remember it. It was a year ago. That's okay.
Oh, I thought you meant like, was I actually there?
No, I didn't think you were in the Russian army.
I could have been an observer.
I don't think they would let you observe, except on YouTube. But all right. So does the fact that North Korea might have the Russians' super EMP nuclear warhead plans disturb you at all?
Did many Bothans die to get those plans to the North Koreans?
No, probably somebody just fat fingered it in Russia and it send all.
That damn send all. You gotta look before you press the button.
Yeah, so if they have that and they detonate it over the U.S. mainland, that could cause all kinds of problems. And I'm sure the Russians have a great nuclear design plan that they accidentally emailed to North Korea. Doesn't that sound like stupid enough to actually happen?
The email would have never got there if it came from Hillary's server, though. So
no, then the plans would be on WikiLeaks.
And every kid on the block would have their own EMP. My thing is, let's say they do have a viable set of prints for this thing. I mean, they've got something they can actually decipher. They got people smart enough to understand how to make it work and whatnot. Do they have the material or the ability to manufacture? I mean, and the EMP, if you're just talking about creating it from a nuclear explosion, they already have nuclear weapons. So, I mean, they can make an EMP. It's just...
Yeah, this is a Russian super EMP design. If I wouldn't have lost my bookmark, I could give you all the specific stats on it, but it sounded scary.
I mean,
which may have been the reason that it was posted on Zero Hedge in the first place, because Zero Hedge is kind of a Russian propaganda website, in my opinion, but it's too dangerous not to keep an eye on it, so I do. Let's see. What else?
I don't know how to create an EMP without a nuclear explosion. I mean, you know,
they can come basically, it's mostly gamma rays.
Right. It can come from solar activity. So how do you create that density or that how, I mean, you're talking about you're going to need something that's going to cover a large area. That's why they have to do a explosion in the upper atmosphere, and it has to be just right in order to, you know, blanket most of America and whatnot. If you explode at the wrong altitude or wrong place, it's not going to work. Right. So, I mean, if you're saying they sent them the specs, the parameters for detonating, you know, how big of an explosion and where you need to have it explode at in order to be effective.
I think it was the warhead plans that got sent. The warhead.
So,
and I'm assuming this warhead is different than other warheads. So.
And if they have the information that tells them exactly where to detonate it in order to do the most damage, and they have a viable delivery system, and I mean, there's a lot of ifs, but I'm not saying it's impossible. I don't know enough about how to create an EMP without a nuclear explosion, and if it's just a matter of that, then they just got to have a big enough bomb, man.
All right, big enough bomb. Now that Google will fillet us for saying that. Oh man.
Did you want me to say it 5 times in a sentence? Where's Jared?
When you were working with EOD, how many times could you say bomb in one sentence?
No, it wasn't EOD. It was CEB, Combat Engineering Battalion. Man, combat engineers are pretty cool to hang out with. So.
Okay, well, I haven't seen Jared. Oh, what about, we forgot to talk about the Army combat medic today got awarded the CMH, and I saw that there was 9 other CMH recipients at the White House, and his story about that combat medic, and he was a combat medic in Vietnam, and Captain Rose, Gary Mike Rose, that was a pretty amazing story. They parachuted, or they helicoptered into Laos, and they were outnumbered, outgunned, and they basically just ran away into the jungle and tried to form a defensive perimeter, and guys started dropping, and he was the only combat medic for I don't know if it was a whole battalion, but they wound up destroying a base camp. But I think half of the people on the team were injured, and he basically ran out, got guys from beyond the perimeter, and helped when the helicopters came to extract them. He basically carried guys to the helicopter with one arm over his shoulder, and was shooting with a gun at the North Vietnamese army with his other arm, and he kept doing that over and over. And the last helicopter came in, was shot down, and crashed a few hundred meters from where they took off, and they had to wait for another helicopter. And the other helicopter came. The door gunner was shot in the neck, and he had to. So it was a pretty incredible story. Well, he saved a lot of people's lives, but so somebody got the CMH today for. He was the captain. He was in the Army for 20 years after that. But I thought that was, just listening to the story, was pretty amazing.
Hey.
There we go. There's our combat engineer.
All right, now you can see how many times you can say the word bomb without, I don't monetize these chats anymore, so whatever.
Yeah, full transparency, Hawaii Volcano Squad does not get paid $4,000 to do a review on Mountain House.
Yeah, they haven't demonetized those, but I only have about 29 views, so feel free to watch those Mountain House reviews as many times as you want. I'm almost at the point where, I think Mike Helton said it on his channel. It's like, I don't want to monetize anything on my channel, because however many pennies they pay the content creators, they'll charge $20 a click and pay us like half a penny. So why would I even bother to monetize anything anymore? It's like, anyway. Okay, so let's talk about bombs or something, because I don't want to talk about
over in
Yankee
the gun
market.
channels. Over in gun channels. All right.
Yeah.
Patrick God are talking about the rod from God. A hardened tungsten rod dropped from space on a target hits with the damage of a small nuke. What do you got on this, Hawaii?
A rod from God?
Yeah, this is about all the stuff that'll fall out.
Sounds like a X-rated movie to me.
What type of movies you used to dub?
I never dubbed any of those. I wouldn't mess up my professional movie dubbing career why would I do that when I actually got paid by real film companies to do real films instead of, it's like.
Brokeback Volcano Squad.
All right, man.
Okay, so this is not a legitimate item that would really fall out of the sky and wipe us all out, right? Patrick, Scott, somebody say something.
Somebody better Google it quick.
Yeah, I better make sure my virus software is up to date before I Google it.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to.
It would just be
There-
a giant dirt dart, right? I mean, that's all.
Well, I don't know what tungsten. A kinetic strike named Rods from God is a space-based weapon system used by the United States of America. It serves as a weapon of mass destruction for the Joint Strike Force. Is this shit for real? Kinetic bombardment.
It's on the internet. It must be true.
Oh, well, yeah, if it's on the internet.
Didn't we sign some treaty that said we wouldn't do it anymore? Space weapons or anything?
Well, yeah, because, treaties are... Well, I don't know. See, they canceled SDI, but I think it was because the Cold War was kind of over, so they said, what do we need to spend all this money on? So it's an orbiting tungsten telephone pole with small fins and a computer in the back for guidance. No shit. Impact speeds of Mach 10. Wow.
Yeah, you gotta
Sounds pretty cool.
Well, anything going at Mach 10 hitting the ground will make
So
a
it's
large
like
impact
dropping.
crater.
It's like dropping a penny on somebody from the Empire State Building observation deck, just on a really large scale.
At 9.8 meters per second squared. It just
Oh.
keeps fucking-
There you go. Hey, look here.
Wait,
here we go.
isn't there a maximum when it hits the air can only go so fast?
Here we go. In Neil Stephenson's Anthem, a kinetic bombardment weapon is deployed from orbit to trigger the eruption of a dormant volcano. Hawaii.
If I was you guys, people don't care about the big one. The Yellowstone super volcano is they're gonna drop this rod, man. Right down old Faithful. They're gonna shove a rod right up Old Faithful's ass, and then none of you, all you're gonna need to rip out your gas masks.
Did any of you guys see the gas? Did you guys see the video of the guy walking around New York City with dressed like Kim Jong Un?
Oh.
You gotta Google it. I'm driving right now, so I can't Google it.
Halloween costume. I'm still into this whole kinetic bombardment thing. Wow,
Dude, is our next show gonna be? Are we gonna have everybody show up in Halloween costumes or masks?
I can pretend to be a U.S. soldier.
I'm wondering if I still have a gas mask somewhere.
Well, the thing about pyroclastic expulsions is that they're not just. It's not just the gas. It's sharp little pieces of glass, basically, and it's not just gas or dust. The dust, it's like the size of dust, but it's microscopic glass particles, and it's like it will tear up your lungs. It's worse than asbestos.
Okay, here you go,
Asbestos
Jared.
is in the micro.
Yeah, that stuff will get in you, and you ain't getting that out. That'll kill you.
Micrometers.
Yeah. A new video out today by YouTube prankster Q Park features the Supreme Leader of North Korea roaming the streets of New York City. 10 hours in New York City as Kim Jong-un. Nice.
He's got a guy with him who's dressed up like one of his officials.
He's got the sunglasses and the bowl cut and everything. The Hillary suit.
They go into a Korean restaurant at one point, and everybody's just staring at him.
Is there some
Bunch of
video?
crazy-
Is there a
This
screenshot
is-
of that we can post on this channel?
10 hours in NYC as Kim Jong-un.
You can find like the best hits reel. They put it all together in like an 8-minute video you can watch.
Okay, so I'll send that. So if one of you shows up dressed as Kim Jong-un for the next week's show, I'll send you a ounce of silver. You have to have the haircut, though.
I don't have any. My head's shaved. I don't have any hair, so I guess I'm out.
You
I'll
could get
pay
a
for
toupee.
haircuts.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, this shit's getting great. Do you think, basically, I saw a Rick Rickards video, basically, and he used to work for the CIA, and his opinion was that if the United States doesn't strike first within this next 6 months, then, and basically says, okay, we're not going to do anything to North Korea, we're not going to attack, then North Korea will attack South Korea and try and reunify the continent by military force.
Like they already did once before.
Yeah. Well, they
actually-
have the largest manpower army in the world, I think, just based on manpower. I mean, they don't have good weapons. Their tanks are like from the 1950s, but they have the most number of men under arms, especially if you count the reserve is like 7 million soldiers. But
It's everybody, isn't it?
yeah, everybody that's not locked up in a detention camp is in the army, I guess.
I mean, if they did like what Japan was planning to do, Japan was arming up the civilians for our potential invasion. I mean, they were giving them those last-ditch Arisakas and what else? I mean,
Yeah,
weren't they sharpening
pitchforks.
sticks? Yeah, pitchforks.
It was like Germany's
And
version of the Volkssturm, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, but they were better armed. I mean, some of those guys were carrying Panzerfaust, or they had those.
But more importantly, in Japan, they believed
Volksgewehr.
they believed in the emperor. They believed in what they were fighting for. By
That's
that
true.
point, in Germany, nobody believed.
So yeah, the Germans,
Either
I
that or
think,
they
were
commit suicide.
yeah, they might because what if they tell the population who's they don't have access to outside information that the Americans are going to come there and rape and kill them like what they told the Japanese in World War II. That's why these people might
Bolsheviks that
be.
were coming.
Well, they might be thinking
Bolsheviks.
they either have to fight these Americans off or commit suicide, but don't let them get captured. I mean, that sort of thing. The Germans at the end of World War II, the German civilians were better armed, but they're more likely to surrender. The Japanese weren't as well armed, but they were definitely going to fight to the death. So.
And that's what they proved at every island that the American military landed on.
Yeah, but I think what we were talking about in the off-air beforehand was we would surround them and isolate them.
But if the United States, what I was saying is that if the United States doesn't attack North Korea in the next 6 months, then North Korea will attack South Korea at a near like within a year, because they're going to figure that the United States is not going to fight. And this is their one. They're all about reuniting. This is unfinished business for them. Reuniting the Koreas. This is unfinished business. That's all. That's the only reason for their regime to exist. So, and they believe in that crap. So, because they've been brainwashed for decades. So.
Jared, you still got your boots.
What type of boots? Which one?
Your combat boots, your desert boots, anything.
I got my fancy boots.
Your Cadillacs, they still fit?
Yep.
All right, good enough. Let's go to war.
I got the Nikes too.
Oh, the Go Fasters.
Garrison boots.
Yeah, that's all we need is good
Yoko's are my
footwear.
favorite.
All we need is good footwear. Let's go to war. No, I don't think
Yoko's
if
are
they.
my favorite. They get torn apart.
Oh well, yeah, but we'll be over in Korea where they make them all, so you can get them new from the factory over there. So.
Well,
Yeah.
basically, if there's a human wave of 8 million North Koreans that run south across the border, who's
They
going to
won't
stop
make
them?
it. They won't make it. All along the border, there's barbed wire and hedgehogs.
Wait, they have hedgehog. Now you're all of a sudden pro hedgehog. Did you hear the thing about Spike the Hedgehog on Nat Geo Wild today?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not too late.
I seen this morning that he actually is moving troops towards South Korea right now.
Yeah, it's if the United States doesn't attack North Korea will attack South Korea, and basically that I think that'll just be a human wave of 8 million.
Okay,
people.
if North Korea invades South Korea, then we have a green light. I don't
Yes.
think anybody is going to oppose us, and if they do, they're going to be in the minority. We're not going to
Nobody is going to intervene on behalf of North Korea, even if we attack first. They'll bitch and moan, but they won't do anything.
I'll bet you a Bitcoin. That
You don't. At first, you have to have a Bitcoin to bet a Bitcoin, and
hey,
I
it's
know
no
you
problem.
don't.
I can just write on a piece of paper. This is Bitcoin. I've got one.
Mr.
Well,
Power,
actually, there is such a
China
thing
has
as
a very
paper
long
wallets.
memory.
Can I just take like a 1 1/4 inch piece of bar stock, like some 12L14 steel, and just chop it maybe 1/4 inch thick, and then I'll take a punch and I'll stamp in there Bitcoin. Oh, I might just do that in the metal
No,
shop tomorrow.
Jared, you need to paint. You need to do some Bitcoin camo on your rifle mag so on your rifle build. So like you do a live show building your rifle, but you need to pre-put like little Bitcoin camo things all over it.
I was thinking about doing a live show. I got a new lower coming, another polymer lower. It's from JMT.
Well, you could put a pattern for the Bitcoin symbol and spray paint a Bitcoin onto your rifle. It'd be awesome. All right. Why not?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Where are you driving from? Where are you driving to?
I'm going home. I'm going by the Zakim Bridge right now. See if I can get my camera on. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it.
Yeah, we see it. Here, I'll try and even present you.
I'm on this side, but I'm trying to see if you can get the ass end of the bridge here.
Yeah, looks good. Wave. Oh, well, actually, leave your hands on the wheel.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going to cause them to get wrecked.
Man drives off bridge live on Lock and Load.
We just see a whole bunch of swerving and
then water and fish.
Fucking with a fucking Tobin Bridge.
Oh, man. Yeah. So, Dusty, did you buy that gun yet?
No, it was sold. It sold. No, somebody else got to it before me.
thought you said you wouldn't come over to this side of town because it's too close to Detroit.
No, I don't. I didn't really want to, but I decided I would.
It's only 3 hours away.
Remind me, what kind of gun were you looking at again?
CZ-75.
Oh, right, the CZ-75 because you shot one and
Because I shot Smiggies and I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really nice handgun. That was definitely better than I thought it would be. I didn't think it was going to be bad, but it was just it well balanced, functioned well, easy to manage. Sights were great. I mean, that was a good gun.
Yep. Very smooth.
So the local Hawaiian government is, I think, buying 5 new trash hauling trucks because they collect most of the taxes from the west side of the island where I live, but most of the people live on the east side, and so they're going to dump all the trash from the east side and haul it over to the west side.
Well,
so they take our money and we get their trash.
but you'll be upwind, right? Not downwind.
Well, where it is, it's kind of the wind. It kind of gets blown more out to sea from where I live. It's about 50 miles north of up the coast from where I live, where the new dump is.
You know, I saw a garbage truck get pulled over by the sheriff today. I'd never seen that before. How do you speed in a garbage truck?
Hey, I mean, trucks, depending what their load is, if their load isn't tied down, I saw a car almost get decapitated by a piece of corrugated tin, and the people in it too. I was on my bicycle, and this truck had a bunch of corrugated tin. It was speeding like crazy. It wasn't tied down, and the wind blew the tin off of the top of the truck, and it like flipped up in the air a couple of times, and then because it was a windy day, and then it just started after flipping around up in the air a couple of times. It just went almost straight. It was like at a 45-degree angle right into the traffic, and this car, I swear that the look on these people's faces, it looked like a guillotine coming right at their heads. And at the last minute, just a gust of wind came from the side and knocked it out of their path. But they were about 1 second away from having their car and themselves cut in half by a piece of corrugated tin that wasn't tied down, and it was scary. I was just bicycling a few feet behind where it happened.
Hey, Raphael brings up a good point. Why not just dump the garbage right down the volcano?
The volcano is active. I posted some. I think everybody bailed out of Edge's chat, but there is some really. The United States Geological Service has like a video of the current activity on the top of the Kilauea caldera, the Holly Mau Mau crater by Volcano House on Kilauea, and it's they've got all kinds of thermal cameras, and it's just very active up there, and it's a pretty damn good video. I'll try and, if I don't know, did I bookmark that one too, or did I don't think the NSA would take down that one. Let's see. Find my own bookmarks. Right. I seem to have too many Bitcoin mining bookmarks lately that have pushed everything else out of the way.
Okay, so getting past these Bitcoins, so they put the B-52s on alert, huh?
Well, basically there was an article on Zero Hedge saying the B-52s were put on 24-hour constant alert, and there was an article on Zero Hedge the next day saying the Air Force denied that the B-52s were on 24-hour alert. So whether you believe our propaganda or theirs is up to you. So Zero Hedge is basically Russian propaganda. So
B-52 trivia
Which album
question.
are they going to play? Which album are they going to play?
Yeah, the B-52s? Yeah. A B-52 trivia question. What's the nickname of the B-52? Anybody? Anybody?
come on, somebody out there has to have some good Google food.
Yeah, I don't know why Biker Bob hasn't chimed in over on YouTube with this.
He passed out from drinking too much beer. Well, the Strato Fortress is but
No,
that's
no. That was the name that they gave it when they made it. What do the pilots call it? What does the air crew call it?
their great grandfathers hand me down, probably.
Enrique got it over there on YouTube.
Okay, well, spill the
And
beans.
Patrick also got it on Gun Channels. Buff. Big ugly fat fucker.
Big ugly fat fucker. All right.
That's what they call it. So, here we'll still segue that into more airplane trivia. The A7 Corsair 2. What are the pilots nicknamed that?
Oh, is that the Intruder?
Nope. A7 is the Corsair 2. It's made by Bing Timco Vout.
Yeah, I know the one you mean now.
Yeah, that's got a little nickname too.
I built a model of one of those when I was a kid. I don't remember.
It's similar to the B-52. It's similar to the B-52 nickname.
Bam. That's a straight guess. Bam.
Nope. I'm just bouncing between to see if anybody guesses it. Give it another second here. Wait, somebody just chimed in. Close. Patrick. Yep. Raphael got it. Slough. Short little ugly fucker.
Slough?
Even though the A7s have been out of service for a long time, yeah, they used to call them short little ugly fuckers. I think it was a play on with the whole buff. So there you go. There's our foul mouth trivia for the day.
Foul mouth? What's foul about?
I use the F word. I know you don't want me to use the B word. Bomb.
Well, I mean, whatever. Say whatever you want. I'll let Google come through and just do whatever Google does because can't control Google. All right. So what's up? Has anybody reached any conclusions on what's up? Any crappy Second Amendment stuff been going on, or is it just people arguing on the internet?
Yeah, we got some
Well,
weird stuff. Go ahead.
I mean, there's a lot of bills that are out there, but I mean, they're in committee, right? They have ways to go, but still.
Well, committee is where bills go to die.
In Mass, they got the House threw in a bump stock ban with the on the budget, and then it got to the state senators, and they want to debate it, and they want to make sure that there's no loopholes. So they started to change it. They changed it, and then they decided they want to vote on a new bill because they want it to be like the one
But
that.
wait a minute, you said they're
Feinstein.
putting it on the House budget, but the House budget, the House is going to vote to go with the Senate budget. So whatever is in the
Yeah, so
House
now-
budget is irrelevant, isn't it?
So now, but it has to be signed by Tuesday on the governor's desk. So that everything's all fucked up, and they don't want to do it. And I don't know. Everybody wants to be. They want to be more anti-gun. So that's what they're worried about. That the House one just bans the trigger crank and the bump stock. So they want to make sure they ban more. So they want to ban anything that speeds up.
Like belt loops and rubber bands.
So you're saying
Yeah,
the
but
wording
then-
is just as vague as the federal bill?
Yeah, that's what the state senators want. But then I don't know. But then they're arguing with each other because I don't know. One of the guys who's anti-gun, he took a bunch of even though they didn't hold any public hearings, he asked a bunch of anti-gun people, including pro-gun people, including me, to write like an essay on why and how they should word it or some shit. So I think he's one of the people who's being stuck in the mud on that one. So I don't know.
You
Kinda
mean
confusing, but
they might
it
actually
might
be
come to a
thinking,
head. So.
well, what if they're thinking there's so much pushback on the national level about the wording? If we're specific about the wording, maybe we won't lose any votes next time. I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean, I don't know. I kind of hope that they get stuck and they just have to pass it anyways. The way it's written right now, it's not that bad. It only bans the trigger cranks, and the way they want to write it, some of them, like State Senator fucking Cream, there, they want to write it so it's going to be worse than Dianne Feinstein's bill. That's the lady who wants to pass an extra, 4% tax on all guns and ammo, so they can set up a gun violence fund. So, yeah. I hope I don't rant too much about it.
No, it's all right. Hey, Oily.
Oh my God, Oily made it? Awesome.
Oily!
She's in the YouTube live
Oh,
chat.
she's on the YouTube live chat.
Yeah, they have to keep refreshing. Well, Jared, I don't know. If they get the wording really specific, that might actually help them get it passed through. That's not good for you, but it is, at least I'm just thinking that they're thinking that either if they make it too vague, it won't pass because they'll get too much pushback, or if they make it too vague, they're going to have some people go, "Hey, hold up! Now that affects me. I'm not voting for you next." I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here. I mean, if on the federal level they don't care if it's vague, I don't even know why the state would even care. It's, yeah.
Like you see, the gun laws are already extremely vague, anyways. So,
Well, I mean, the thing is, the way I initially felt about the 399,99999 was, bump stocks really don't affect a whole lot of people. It's just a gimmicky item.
Yeah, they have no constituency.
Right. And if they would be willing to put it on the SHARE Act, say, fine, you want to sign off, you want these things banned, or you want to have to fill out a 4473 to get them, or you want to make them NFA, fine, put them on the SHARE Act. And then we get, lawful use instead of sporting use, and we get suppressors off the NFA and stuff like that. And then, but bump stocks get restricted or banned, and people go, no compromise, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's all good and fine. I understand that, but I was trying to work with the other side and get us something. My thing was lose something that very
They
few
don't
people
want to
care
work
about,
with you.
and that's
the
just
only
it.
problem.
They don't. But at least I feel like I took the high ground. But with this sort of thing, I don't know if they're.
I mean, they're
I
gonna
don't know.
pass whatever they're gonna pass some fucking crazy shit anyways. Because it's Massachusetts, and They have the moral fucking high ground, and they're saving fucking lives.
But I wasn't the only one going, fine, give them bump
Yeah.
stocks or whatnot, or who cares, or
Yeah.
or whatever. So I'm thinking that if they make the wording more specific, where it isn't going to affect, like the whole thing about the 39999 is everybody's going, oh, this means they're going to ban semi-automatics and they're gonna amputate Jerry Miculek's trigger finger. Okay, that's taking it to the nth degree. But yes, so if they word the state bill very specifically, and they leave out things like putting in a different trigger pack or the skill to accurately aim and fire quickly on semi-automatic or something like that, then they're not going to get that backlash of people. You're only going to have the few people that care about gat cranks and bump stocks that are going to bitch, but you're not going to have the hunter with the semi-automatic shotgun going, whoa, hold up now. I just don't.
That's
I
what
don't
he's
know.
trying to be careful. But I brought up a point that, whatever you fucking pass, you better be careful because we got people like Maura Healey. I brought this up in my thing. You got an attorney general like Maura Healey who's going to fucking reinterpret it, and it's going to become law, and everybody's going to be proud of it.
Well, I don't know if they're really going to pass anything because the Democrats apparently won't vote to support any of Trump's tax cuts and the budget, and so they're doing this without Democrats at all. So I don't see why they would put any gun control added on as a rider onto the legislation that they have to pass, which is
I'm
the
talking
tax.
about state. I'm talking about just state.
Well, states can do what the hell they want. I thought we were talking about federal legislation, right?
Well, it's still legislation. I mean, we all
Bouncing
should
back
be
and forth.
aware of it because it could happen in our state. And, even though we can't vote in Massachusetts because we don't live there, it doesn't mean that, I don't want anybody to lose any of their rights in any of these states. I do believe that the states should have some autonomy, outside of what the federal government does. But I'm more of a states' rights kind of guy. But I don't want to see Jared or anybody in there have to have any more restrictions. Hi, Oily.
Hello.
Hey, she made it.
Really.
Sorry, I was thinking you started at 8. I was like all thinking I was doing good. And
Yeah, well, the crew wanted me to start a little earlier,
Wait.
I gave up my barbecues and blondes at the pool so I could do this.
Oh, yeah, big sacrifice. Oily, he did start at 8. He did start at 8.
not Central Time though.
There is no other time zone other than the Eastern time zone.
Yeah, there is.
No, there isn't.
Yeah, there is.
No.
I'm pretty sure because I live in it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
No.
You two
For
should
sure.
get married, except you already both are.
That's why we're good at this.
We've had lots of practice. I've had 26 years of practice, almost 27 now. So,
And
yeah.
guess what, Squib? She's had a headache the whole time.
I have. That's right. And his name is? Oh, no. I'm just kidding.
Oh, man. What's new in Oklahoma, Oily?
Not much, thankfully. Well, let's see. My daughter got fired, and my brother got laid off. So I have those two that I'm
Oh, that
worried
sucks.
about.
Everybody's gonna move in with Oily.
No, heck, no.
Just
Well,
put
if
some
you've got-
cots in the pole barn and get some.
Well, no, they just have them write night herd on the cows out, and then
What?
that'll keep them busy. They
What?
could sleep in the saddle. They could just get a horse, put them on a horse, and have them watch the
Okay,
cows.
this is from
Okay.
the same man who thinks that Dusty raises deer at his farm.
Okay, Hawaii, just so you know, not every farm in Oklahoma has to have a
cow.
horse to go check their cows. We have things called ATVs, and since we have fenced in area, which is like 260 acres here, we just kind of drive the ATV and.
Well, didn't you see John Wayne's movie Big Jake? He prefers horses. So
Well, wait. What we all really want to know is your fenced-in area. Are there any hedgehogs?
Hedgehogs, no.
You don't have any anti-tank obstacles to keep the cows from getting away.
No,
What
no.
about cow hogs?
We have cattle guards, or as people call them in the north, auto gate. And
Yeah, my wife does not like
and
it when
we
I
have
drive
barbed
over
wire
there.
fence. Yeah, and we have barbed wire. That usually takes care of it. Although, for the past couple of months, almost every day I look outside and there's at least one calf that's nice and spunky that likes to get out and taunt us. So yeah, that's what they're working on this week is fencing. So
When a calf comes to your house and taunts you,
calf gets out because there's a couple of wires that's loose. So yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
they're out there working on that.
at least
Are
they
you
have.
driving?
Jared is, yeah.
Ah. Ain't that special? I'm in a little bit spunkier mood, as you can tell. Feeling a little better.
Good. Yeah, I know you had some headache or what was your problem? I remember you had a medical
Strep throat and a cold.
strep throat.
And it was good, and ear infection. So really good times. Really fun.
Ear infections those suck.
Well, this one didn't get to the piercing part. It probably.
Well, did they give you Augmentin or some kind of antibiotic to knock down the strep?
I took amoxicillin.
Yeah. Strangely, my mom got strep throat too, and she was on a cruise in Mexico, and they gave her amoxicillin. No, they gave her whatever I said first, Augmentin. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but they had a good time. They cruised to the Panama Canal.
Yeah. I just don't want anything that southern. It just sounds too hot and miserable. I don't even like living in Oklahoma. I want to move north.
You say that, but
Stomp Greenwood's out there. Hey, Stomp.
Want to move to New Hampshire?
That's what
Right.
I say. Well, I'm a homebody, so yeah, I don't have to get out and work in it or.
oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I have the luxury of desiring that, but my husband really doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't have that desire at all to move that far north.
So, anything new in the world of prepping? Anybody? Anybody get any new preps or new ideas for prepping?
No. Anybody?
I got nothing.
Picked up a little medical kit. They got I got it from Paul Merkel. It's like a little student medical kit.
Yeah.
It's made to fit in a backpack, a little vacuum sealed bag. It's got some duct tape and some other junk in there. I actually forget what's in it.
You know, that reminds me, I should update the one that I keep saying I'm going to put in my range bag that I haven't, because it might be a good idea to take that with me when I go hunting in case I jab myself with a knife trying to gut a deer or something.
Or you get charged by a buffalo or something?
Yeah.
I keep a super range kit with me.
Buffaloes.
It's like a double IFAC.
Buffalo can do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
They weigh a lot and they have horn.
Well, Jared, the range, the first aid kit in the range bag is really good for like hammer bite or slide bite. You know, that sort of thing. It kind of happens. So
There's no buffalo in Michigan?
No.
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 There's a town called New Buffalo down by the border, but no.
The Buffalo Bills, what state are they from? Wait a minute, never mind. We're not
New
supposed
York.
New
York.
York, Buffalo, New York.
So there's Buffalo in New York. Okay. Oh. That's as close as
Yeah,
we
the
come to talking
city
about
of Buffalo.
NFL.
Yes.
There's a whole city of Buffalo. What did he say?
There's Buffalo on the north ridge of the Grand Canyon.
Oh, give me a home.
But those aren't real buffalo.
Laura.
They're only half buffalo.
Has anybody ever eaten a buffalo burger?
Yeah,
Are
yeah,
they good?
yeah. They're fine. I mean, it's just like meat. you put it on a. I used to go to the health food store and buy a buffalo burger. I don't do that anymore because they taste fine.
Is it super lean or did they add fat to it?
They're pretty lean.
Hmm.
I liked them, but it's just I don't go to the health food store anymore. So because
Why
the guy who runs it is one anti-gun who owns the health food stores,
Oh.
and he also built the stupid circle. He built in the East Hawaii that there were a lot of accidents outside of Pahoa, and so he built a roundabout, and I was like,
Oh. Is that one of those stupid roundabouts where you have to stop if you're in it? It's wrong. They had one in.
it's just
That
that
one in
people
North
in Hawaii have never ever seen a roundabout, and
There's
especially
one in
tourists.
the North Shore.
Tourists get off the plane and they go to one of the vacation areas on the beach in East Hawaii because it's beautiful there along the coast. But they will have never. So they'll be like coming off the airplane. They drive 20 miles and they probably had a few drinks on the airplane. And they're really tired. They want to get to their vacation rental or whatever. And then they run into this and going down a highway at 50 miles an hour or 60 miles an hour. All of a sudden, there's a roundabout. What do they think is going to happen? It's going to be.
They had one in the North Shore. It was all jacked up because you had to stop if you were in the rotary. And that's
In
not how
between-
you drive in a rotary.
In between the local stoners, like trying to figure out what to do, driving in a circle and just smoking pot, and tourists who are I mean, this is Pahoa we're talking about, and I mean, there's like a guy, there's like 5. If you go to the bank ATM, there will be like 5 people trying to sell you pot, and I mean, it's that kind of a town. It's like Pahoa stopped. They made some improvements. They put in a strip mall recently, but I mean, the way it used to be was a row of corrugated tin shacks and a health food store and Le Guin's Mexican restaurant, which burned down. So it's, I mean, and the corrugated tin shacks there was like in a field on the main road with a bunch of drug needles from drug users, and it was a crazy little town, and it was like if you imagine, I think in 1958 that place stopped evolving, and so yeah, putting a roundabout outside of it isn't going to help anything. And
The thing about the roundabouts and the diverging diamonds and all the other stuff that's been brought over from Europe, none of us were taught how to drive on them in driver's ed. That's the problem. People come up and they don't know what to do because they got their driver's license 10 or 20 or 30
yes,
or 40 or 50
but
years
guess who
ago.
paid for it? They got it approved because the federal government paid for
Well,
it.
you know, since I work with a lot of Europeans, I asked one of the British women at work about the roundabouts, and I said, you know, nobody here knows how to drive on them. She goes, I got news for you. There are people in England who know how to drive in them either. So I don't think they're effective. They can say, oh, we don't have to put up lights and blah, 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 but they just, I mean, you try riding a motorcycle through one, you about get killed because people are merging into you. They aren't looking. They're all confused. And I don't know if you've ever gone on a diverging diamond over a freeway for a freeway entrance exit system, but it's very confusing because it looks like you're about to drive into oncoming traffic. They put a diverging diamond at the exit right by my work, and when they first opened it up, people were swerving into each other because they didn't know which way to go, even though there's signs all over the place. And
When I was 13 years old, we went to Europe and Israel, and my dad, when we were in London, he drove us up to Scotland so I could see Loch Ness, basically. And then when we were returning our rental car, obviously we're Americans and this is England, and that we're in London, they all drive backwards. On the steering wheel's on the wrong side of the car. Everybody drives on the wrong side of the road. So he's trying to find the place to return the rental car to, right? And so after driving around London for about half an hour trying to find this rental car place, and he's really frustrated. He finally sees it. So as soon as he sees it, he heads right for it. He makes an American left-hand turn through a busy British intersection. and then he pulls into the driveway. Miraculously, we weren't killed. And he pulls into the driveway of the rental car company, who all watched him do that. And they all get out and check the car like 20 times before they get his credit card back or whatever it was. It was funny, but it's like I called it Rudderman's Circle. I think I did it. It's people are just going to be. They should just set up an auto repair shop right by the roundabout, because they're going to need it, or at least a tow truck company.
The
Tow
trick in
truck
Massachusetts
company,
is
auto
you just
body.
ignore the lines. There's
Yeah.
lines in all the roundabouts. There's like very specific lines, lanes, how you get in and out, and you will get in an accident if you follow the lanes. You just have to be an asshole, drive as fast as you can to cut the guy off that's in it. You're too late. If you're too late and you can't cut the guy off that's in it, you have to slam on the brakes as hard as you can. That's the trick.
You could be like Walter, over the line.
Whenever you're talking about the roundabouts, it makes me think of one of those Mickey Mouse cartoons where Goofy is driving, or maybe it's Donald Duck, and he has an on ramp, but there's no off ramp, and he's just going around in circles because there's no off ramp.
I'm pretty sure I've seen both Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, all of them in roundabouts or in my area. Because
Basically, the politician knew one of the contractors, and they got the federal government Department of Transportation to pay for it. So the state didn't have to pay for it. The state doesn't have any money. That's how they got done.
No, it's another one of those left-wing ideas from Europe. That's all it is.
Speaking of state and money, our wonderful state of Oklahoma and the freaking awful governor that we have, Mary Fallon, they broke us. You know, for Republican run state, you would think that we'd be in a lot better shape, but no, they pretty much broke us. So they're cutting corners in areas where it's gonna be a not so good thing. So
they're not gonna get the potholes in Oklahoma City fixed.
I know they're always working on potholes in Oklahoma
They'll have to
City.
see some more Indian lands and auction it off to
Well,
raffle it
you know,
off.
I mean,
you know, I don't. I just thought, since we got onto the economy, here's this article. In the span of 5 minutes, 18,792 gold contracts, each representing 100 ounces of metal, traded on the COMEX at around 11:55 a.m. in New York. This represents about 2.4 billion notational of sudden buying panic. So somebody bought at noon today in New York $2.5 billion worth of gold within 5 minutes. And if you look at the chart of gold for today, there's a big spike when he did that. So talking about fat fingers, and I don't think he did it by accident, though. I'm just glad it was an up instead of another naked short. But
well, our state thinks that it's okay to legislators to vote themselves raises, but yet, and all our government, or a lot of the government staff, but yet they're cutting mental health services and things like that are really not a good idea to cut. You know, that's just going to increase crime and court costs and all kinds of things like that. So it's just kind of ridiculous.
Well, I think did I mention last week about Puerto Rico only having 1.2 million people living on it, and yet they have $80 billion in bonded indebtedness, and that was before the hurricane hit. So it was wiped out before they got hit by 2 Cat 5 hurricanes. And not counting any rebuilding costs, how are you're supposed to tax 1.2 million people who pretty much don't have jobs anymore to pay back $80 billion worth of debt? it's they should just evacuate that island, and it's the humane thing to do, and move all those people to the mainland. I know that politically that won't happen, but it's a big black hole.
I've been saying that about Hawaii for years.
But
evacuate everybody off the island, and
we haven't been hit. You don't have to rebuild Hawaii because it hasn't been hit by a Cat 5 hurricane.
Then you got all that garbage. You got no place to put it. And...
No, they do have a place. They're just moving it from the east side of the island to my side of the island.
Hey, Dusty, do we still have the garbage come in from Canada over here to Michigan? I can't remember if they stopped that or not.
I think they stopped it.
Ontario was trucking their garbage over here and dumping it in our dumps, and we were taking it because they were paying us big money for it.
Did they stop paying you?
I think somebody finally got fed up with it and passed a law and stopped it.
The periwinkles.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, that was tearing up the bridge, and that was part of it.
Yeah, but it's just kind of insulting that Canada, who isn't as wealthy as America, I mean, they're a good country and whatnot, and good people and stuff like that. It just, we're a richer nation. They're selling, they're paying us to take their trash so they can get it out of their country and keep their country clean and dump their filth in our country. And we're actually taking it. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's a pride issue. I don't know.
I think I need to find that photograph of the sewage septic truck that I shared on somebody's show like a week or two ago. Here it is. Let's see. Screen share button. Here we go.
Sweetwater.
Sweetwater. We'll take your crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Sauce. Oh, go ahead.
I saw it when I was did a Costco run. This truck was parked in the parking lot at Costco, so I had to take this picture when I saw it.
It's a septic tank truck.
Yeah. But I just love what they printed on the door of the truck cab. Yeah, so that brings us to this company would be good for like if you need somebody for a Yankee Marshall chat.
Gross vehicle weight 82,000 pounds. Dang.
I saw somebody the other day with a bumper sticker that said, "Will break for hallucinations." They had a New York plate.
But
it's one of those pinch me, I'm dreaming, or wake me up from this nightmare kind of things.
I guess.
can I get some of that? No.
So has there been any states that have started banning magazines and stuff like that, or just the usual victims of
I heard
gun
that
control?
Was it 2 years ago, was it, or 3 years ago, Colorado banned anything over 10 or 15 rounds, but I heard that nobody over there enforces it. And if you had something before the law, it's grandfathered in, so they can't tell. If you went next door to Nebraska and bought one and brought it over, nobody would know.
I've had it for like 7 years, man. Like, totally.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, so you can write the law. This is what I mean by the politicians posturing. Sometimes they write laws that they know won't work, but the people that vote for them are going, see, they're taking care of things. They're writing a law, because there's all these naive people in the world who think if you just write a law, it'll stop it. And then the rest of the people are going, no, writing the law doesn't stop it at all. So at the end of the day, they just go, we don't have the money or time or manpower, whatever it is, to enforce this stuff, or we can't prove either way. But we got this law in the books that makes us look good, and the people who always vote for us will keep voting for us because we look like we're doing something. And I think that's what that Colorado thing ended up being. So if any other state tried it, they'd probably have the same situation.
Yep.
We're making it safe.
Yeah. Well, it's all about how you feel. It's not whether or not it actually works. It's all about how you feel.
I don't even get it. You sound like my brother.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I want to live in the same country, in the same, state, city, county, whatever, as the people that don't have all the same beliefs and values as me and try to get along. I really do. And if I can find a way that everybody wins or we get it pretty close to it, I'd be for that. But I am not for anything that doesn't really work. Maybe on occasion something that doesn't really like that Colorado magazine ban. All right, we're going to say you can't have this, but if you had it beforehand, then you're good. And and then they don't enforce it. It's like, who really cares? At the end of the day, who really cares? I mean, no, there shouldn't be a law there. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. It doesn't do anything, and it is an infringement. But if they don't enforce it, what's the difference? So,
well, because they don't enforce it right now doesn't mean they won't try to figure out a way to.
Well, what they'd have to do is they'd have to write another law saying that if you own them, that you have to surrender them. And they tried that in California, one of the most liberal states there is. And California shot it down because you have to compensate them for it. You can't just say you can't have this anymore. Well, yeah, I bought it. I bought it 10 years ago. I bought it 20 years ago. I bought it 40 years ago.
I bought it when it was legal. So.
Right. So you either have to grandfather something in, or you have to compensate, and that's all debatable and blah 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 blah. I'm not saying I want any of these laws. It's just sometimes some of these things, it's like they can't enforce it, so who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I think they should pass a law in Colorado saying all 30-round magazines have to be converted to holding only marijuana joints or something.
Oh, there you go. That'll work. But I mean, look at Magpul. they were Magpul made their money making 20, 30 round magazines, 40 round magazines.
Yeah, and they moved to Texas.
They moved out. They only left an office there. And then HexMag bought their factory and all their tooling and stuff and started making them there anyhow, and then shipping them out of the state to sell. So, I'm surprised with what happened in Illinois that you didn't have some of the other gun manufacturers in Illinois, like Armalite and whatnot, getting the heck out of the state. And Smith & Wesson never left Massachusetts, right, Jared?
They're still here.
Yeah.
Same with Yankee Hill Machine, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, they are? Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it's just kind of like, I don't want to see any of these laws happen, but if something squeaks through and they can't enforce it, or it's just posturing, whatever. It's not a good attitude to have, but it's just so many things.
Yeah, well, I don't think people should be made to feel like they're a criminal, whether it's enforceable or not, if they just happen to have a 30-round mag laying around in your closet.
Well, yeah, but you know that you and I and all of us here would not use these things in a criminal way at all. The worst case situation where we would use them is if it was something where the people had to, defend themselves against the tyrannical government because, the government was trying to do something like they've done in other countries at other times, and that just won't happen here. And nobody's really counting on that happening. I mean, sure, it's great to be ready for it, but nobody's like sitting there on their couch going, all right, any minute now, So
I think there are some people out there that they're just extreme, in their thinking.
Okay, so here's the thing about those people. Those people make us look bad. Those people make us look like kooks. And here's the thing. Those people are nobody. And in a situation where there's total anarchy or the zombie apocalypse or whatever it is, they think because they got a gun and some training that they'll finally get to be somebody. They're like the kid that never had any friends or was bullied or whatnot, and once their time and their time to shine and be in the limelight, that's no way to do it. There's other ways that you can be somebody. Nobody wants bad things to happen.
Bad things happen. Bad things happen. Whatever you want.
They do happen, but it's just, and there's nothing wrong with being prepared. It's just that if you want it to happen, you really got to check yourself, because nobody wants it to happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, but there's that line from Predator with Jesse Ventura. He pulls out the minigun and says, "Payback time."
No, he says it's time to let Old Painless out of the bag. That's what he named the minigun, Old Painless.
Yeah, but when did he said payback time at some point?
Did he? All right.
Yeah.
And then I just know he named the gun, which was kind of cool.
Right. Well, it's on my to-do list. Minigun, Gatling gun, all those things that they don't want you to have. But
Yeah, but that's more of a bucket list thing. That's not a sitting in a bunker waiting for it to happen thing.
no, I'm not sitting in a bunker. And
But
I got into arguing with two ladies by the pool who were, I mean, basically the whole Hawaiian sovereignty movement is nuts. Basically, I just basically told them, after they got all complaining about how America stole the land and they overthrew the monarchy of the Hawaiian kingdom, I just told them, whether you like it or not, TIA, this is America. So if you don't like it, overthrow the government or shut up. You know?
Yeah.
Or leave.
They're anti-gun.
Well, that's just it. I had a 20-something-year-old tell me today that America has no business going into other countries and imposing our will on those other countries, and we're a bad country for all these places that we've gone.
We're a badass country, is what we
that's
are.
just it. And yeah, nobody messes with us. Yeah, I said, look, I'm not saying we're perfect, we're benevolent, that we've never made mistakes, but you have to take the good with the bad. And
we're a big country with a big economy. We make big, expensive mistakes.
I said, look at the countries that we occupied after World War II and look how well they're doing today. And then look at the countries that we pulled out of and look how bad they're doing today. I said, you cannot say that America has not done more good for the world than bad. And she goes, my college professor has access to top secret government documents. My
college professor.
Yes, my college professor has access to top secret government documents that you and I wouldn't know about, and it explains all the ways that the government has gone in and taken over these countries. And we, it's like
I attended UCLA, and that's a university of conceited little aristocrats. I mean, don't listen to any college professor about anything. We have something here called the University of Hawaii that's supposed to be really good, but it's really just a bunch of fascist little communists.
That's what the majority of professors are.
And
like anymore.
I worry about our future because this has been going on for decades, where they've been turning people against their own country.
I swear, I just want to go to audit some classes at the U of H and just wear a "Make America Great" cap again and see how long before the football team comes after me.
I'm not saying that you don't have a right to speak out against America. Obviously you do. There's this thing called the First Amendment, and you should always be willing to challenge your government on things, because if you don't, they will take over and we'll turn into one of those countries we don't want to be. Well, that's why we're the greatest country on the earth. But when you got somebody who hasn't lived life, they haven't done this, they haven't done that, they haven't been around, they're just sitting there soaking this stuff up like a sponge and believing every single lie they're being told by some spineless troublemaker, who has a power trip because they have a college degree that says they're a professor. And
they don't just have a power trip; they have tenure and a lifetime job.
Yeah, well, and they have money and they do what they want, and they influence these young people. And it's like, you have a responsibility to be objective, but no. And then these people go on in the world, and eventually they do have kids, and eventually they teach their kids, or their kids go to school where these teachers have been going to these colleges learning this stuff. And then some of the things that my kids come home and tell me their teachers have said, I have to do a lot of scrubbing to get the brainwashing out.
Oh, yeah.
Try to explain to them how the real world works. And it does. It sucks. It sucks, but it just...
They're surrounded by other students that believe it too, and are just like, it's an unpopular thing to go against that,
there's an echo chamber, and if you try and speak the truth, it's like you're going to get slapped down.
We live in a great country, and despite our problems and our differences, it's still a great country. Over time, it's getting worse and worse. I'm not going to lie, and maybe someday it's going to go down the tubes if we don't do something. But I guess for somebody who somebody who hasn't fought for this country, or somebody who can't be objective about history and go, okay, this bad thing happened years ago, but people thought differently back then, so that's why this happened. We can't judge them with today's values. You know, when you got somebody who isn't willing to do either one of those, and then you just hear, I mean, it's like when I watch somebody burn a flag, it gets me so ticked off. And I mean,
well, there are times where you're supposed to burn a flag if you follow the flag
no, I'm
code.
talking about in protests, or just, you know, or even the NFL players kneeling, or any of that other stuff. It's very irritating.
But I think people that are voting, Americans are voting with their remote controls, and the NFL is paying a big price.
And that's fine. That's a free market. That's what America's about. And I understand they do have the right to do that, and somebody does have the right to burn a flag. But it's just when you hear these young people say this stuff, and it's like, oh my goodness, did your parents not steer you straight? I just don't know.
He wore like a Che Guevara pin or some shit on his shirt. You know, if he's so for free speech and against oppression, then he turns the cheek and he's wearing, like, he's promoting, you know, Fidel Castro's buddy there, Che. So
Exactly.
I mean,
it's like
it's so insane. I mean,
oh, go ahead.
Yep. I also didn't believe that it was that bad at the schools until my buddy just started going back to day school at my local state university, and he told me all sorts of, like, he is like a year older than me, and literally like 1 week in school, and he said the craziest shit. I was like, holy fuck, listen to what you're saying right now, man.
Yeah, well, in Hawaii, the school system paid for with U.S. federal dollars. They still have Kill Howley Day, where all the brown kids beat up all the white kids. So nobody ever tries to say anything about it, and it's like, okay, so they actually have Kill Howley Day. That's what they teach the kids.
And it's just
so you have no
reverse racism is all it is. They
yeah,
like
and
Kettle Black, you know, it's like I would never hurt anybody, and I've never encouraged my kids to ever treat anybody differently based on gender, race.
Yeah, I got hired to work for Ward Connerly, who did the Prop 209, and Ward Connerly was just a black gentleman who thought all racism was wrong, and that included reverse racism. So what Prop 209 in California was, I did the audio. It was a voter initiative that said it made it illegal to have racial quotas, racial set-asides for college, for public contracting or housing based on race. That's reverse racism. But and the way we did the ads, okay, racism is bad, right? And so that's because that's really what he thought. So and it was, but when you're brought up with the propaganda that affirmative action is something good, when it's really just racism, racial, it's government instituted.
Racial profiling,
racial discrimination is what it is.
Well,
Government Institute of Racial Discrimination, but people call it affirmative action.
Yeah.
It's like painting lipstick on a pig. It is what it is. But so he was the first guy to actually come forward, and I edited together and recorded all the audio spots that won that election for him. But you tell people in Hawaii that you know, just okay, they'll say, oh, you don't know the story of how the Hawaiians got their land stolen. And so not only do I not want to live under a Hawaiian monarchy in the first place, two wrongs don't make a right. You can't fix whatever happened in Hawaii to the Hawaiian monarchy by instituting a government-run program of racial discrimination.
But look at it like this. Look at it like this, Hawaii. One or two things would have happened. Either we would have bypassed the Hawaiian Islands altogether, okay, and they would have stayed where they were, and they wouldn't have the technology and the infrastructure and the security and everything they have today, or Japan, they would have been taken by Japan or Great Britain, in which case the situation would be worse. And had they been taken by Japan or Great Britain, maybe we would have entered the war later, and it would have been a lot harder to fight the war, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of things people look at, and they don't look at the context of the time that these things happened, and the way people felt, and the level of education everybody had, and the level of communication.
I don't think the level of education or communication had anything to do with Hawaii.
It does, no, because look at it. Today, everybody has access to the internet. Everybody has instant access to news, cell phones. Everybody has access to education.
In what year, at what education level do you think Americans are going to want to live under the thumb of a Hawaiian monarchy?
No, you're not following
or
what I'm
any
saying.
Monarchy.
What I'm saying is anybody who says that America stole the land from the Indians, or America stole the land from the Hawaiians, or Americans black people stuff for slavery or whatever, need to stop and take a look at when these things happened and how things were. They also have to look at. They also have to hold on.
No, it's what the question is two wrongs don't make a right. You can't fix an injustice by committing another one.
You also have to look at where America is today and all the good things America has done for the world and they're still doing for the world. If you want to say, well, slavery was a long time ago, but it was wrong. Okay, here's a one-way ticket back to Africa. I've been to Africa. You don't want to live there. Trust me, dude. Yes, your family suffered generations ago, but look at today. You can raise a family in the greatest country in the world because they did. Just like my family, okay, we weren't slaves, but we were, poor. We weren't rich or anything, and we had to work and work and work, for generations to get to middle class and that sort of thing. I mean, everybody had some sort of suffering. Even the rich. Some of the rich had a long way to fall, and they fell. I mean, there are ancestors of American presidents who aren't rich people today, and things like that. If somebody wants to say America stole Hawaii from the Hawaiians, would the Hawaiians have everything that America has given Hawaii today on their own? Hell no. So you want to ask them, hey, would you like to have been taken over by the Japanese? Would you like to have been taken over by the British? Would you have liked not to have the health care and the infrastructure and all the other things that you get from being part of the United States of America? Would you rather be your own, have never had any American influence, or would you rather be? The answer is, oh, hell no. I want to be an American. I want to be part of America. Sure, you're going to have those people who don't want to take anything into context, and they want to try to get the attention for themselves and make trouble. But the bottom line is, we are who we are today. We are where we are today. And despite whatever happened in the past, if you want to judge the past by today's standards, and you don't want to look at the ends justifying the means, or the fact that thank God for the United States of America, for the whole world, I mean, you really got a narrow mind. And it's not to say that we're perfect. We make mistakes. A lot of countries make, but I don't like when people want to turn America into other countries, even if it's with a damn roundabout. And I don't see that we're just this evil country, evil people that somebody wants to make us out to be.
But let's be real.
Well, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you want to? All right. Thank you. But let's be real for a quick second, though. I'll be real quick with this. These people are whining about a large government. So their plan is to make the government even larger. Like they always argue against systemic racism, but then their plan to fix it is, let's just make the government larger, more powerful, give them a little more power, and they'll be able to fix everything. It won't be a problem. Let's disarm everybody. To me, it's just it does not make sense.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I agree, Hawaii, on your point that two wrongs don't make a right. It'd be like you hating every German person ever for the acts of Hitler and the Third Reich. It just
very good point, Oily. Very good point.
I mean,
I'll be honest with you. When I first started having to work with Germans, I found it difficult, but I was a professional doing my job. I just hit the record button when they told me. So, and I didn't get involved. But the top German director in Hollywood really liked the way I worked. And he was the guy who when all the less talented directors were giving me all kinds of problems, he said, this guy is the best. I can't believe with this analog tape machine, this guy can do what he can do. He's amazing. He's so fucking. And I was like, that was the German that everybody had told me was the worst Nazi. That's the word they used, because if you didn't do your job right, he would be all over you. And I just did my job right. And but I always had problems working with some of the Germans, but I got over it, and I got along with all of them except for like one guy. But
One man.
Based on personality, not because of where he came from, right?
yeah, it wasn't because he was German. But it was. But I did have a problem with it for a while. But after 150 dubs, I got over it. So
One man, one way, one analog tape machine. Germans wanted it.
Yeah, because everybody else had already switched to Pro Tools, but I didn't want to spend the money, especially because they Pro Tools version 2 cost, and then it cost, I think, $10,000, and then Pro Tools 3 came out 5 months later, and that cost $15,000, and Pro Tools 4 came out a year later, and that cost $25,000. And then Pro Tools 6 came out, and that costed $35,000. So I just stuck with my 2-inch tape machine. I was running a business, not a give Digit Design all my money, a charitable institution. I wanted to make a profit. Excuse me, I stuck with my analog tape machine. And if they had to do the loops,
afford a new one because he kept getting paid in Bitcoin, and
they didn't have Bitcoin back then. But it's like it was like they had to do the loops until they actually got it right. And if they didn't get it right, they would have to do it over and over and over again. So by the time I moved to Hawaii and I would fly back, and we actually used a studio that used Pro Tools, I had to tell the guy, if they get it wrong, don't move it. If they're early or late when they said the dialogue line, I said, don't move it. They know how to do it right. That when you saw them come in early or late, they saw it too. So just don't edit anything. and telling a Pro Tools editor not to edit anything, it's like readjusting their brain. I mean, I edited on Pro Tools, but I didn't record on it. I didn't dub on it until I wasn't the guy pushing the buttons anymore. I was just the contractor making all the money. So, and I would fly back, shoot hoops in the back, and everybody else would do all the work. I would just supervise. But
How do I get one of those jobs?
yeah, well, I'll tell you how I got it. It was spent a small fortune to build a recording studio right by Disney, and then hope that somebody comes in who you can strike some business deals with, and then you get lucky and actually do, and then use your contacts to become the contractor instead of just the sub low guy on the totem pole. And then so it was 15 years worth of work, but it all got the accountants came in and said, we can do this cheaper overseas, or how come we're dubbing this movie 5 times and then paying for it 5 times, and some other things. But anyway, that's all minutia.
Wait, did you see the link I posted in the chat, HVS?
No.
It's about Liberland or Liberland. It's some place, was it in the Balkans? It's between Serbia and Croatia.
Is that where the hedgehogs were?
That's where a guy who's into Bitcoin decided to claim the land, and he's going to create like a libertarian Bitcoin society where taxes are optional.
Is he going to have a $70 million mansion with a pool?
Infinity pool.
What's the difference? A pool is a pool.
Oh man, do I have to bring up
You don't have to turn around. You can just keep swimming forward. Just keep swimming, swimming, swimming.
I live somewhere where Bitcoin is the main currency.
Now you got me thinking that Hawaii will be in the pool with those swimmies on his arms. This is...
The little floaties.
That's it. That he bought with Bitcoin.
They have Bitcoins on them.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of dollar bills, the little cha-ching.
And is wishing well
symbol.
people can throw Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Oh shoot! I forgot to post the Bitcoin address on the video description if you want to donate to the show. I'll
Bitcoin
post it
Hawaiian
after.
shirt.
So, what's that? I don't have any.
Bitcoin Hawaiian shirt. We need to get you that.
Well, yeah, like palm trees instead of coconuts, they have little Bitcoin things hanging from them.
Is that the one with the buttons made out of coconut shells?
I don't know what they make buttons out of nowadays, but I'll have a bunch of Tommy Bahama shirts that are pretty nice, Hawaiian shirts.
That made me think of the song, I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts.
Actually, have a coconut.
I promise I haven't been drinking.
Yeah, but maybe there's some medication you might have taken by mistake.
Shh, I'll never tell.
Oh, they gave her something with her Augmentin or something.
Are you spying on me, Squib? How did you know that?
Yes, I do actually have a coconut glass cup here. Let me see. It's not glass, it's coconut. Turn on the camera so you can see it. One sec.
Oh, yeah.
That's authentic Hawaiian pottery.
It's a coconut. It's a coconut.
Right,
It's a coconut kind of glass cup thing. So you could fill it up with Jack and Coke or Mai Tai or whatever.
Coconut rum.
Yeah, I usually use my steel glass, my steel pint glass for Jack and Cokes or Mai Tais because it's you can take it down to the pool and the manager doesn't mind. He just doesn't want glass breaking in the hot tub or pool because then you'd have to empty it out to clean it all to get out broken glass and stuff. So, but coconuts are okay too. So you never want to have an empty coconut. That's
See this right here? This is my equivalent. It holds juice.
It
not
looks like a sippy cup. It's a sippy
And
cup.
It's a Snackies.
Wait, I thought
You put your snack in the top, put your Mai Tai in the bottom, you're good to go.
That's hilarious.
Raphael says you can put beer in the coconut.
I haven't put beer in this coconut, but
I want pina colada in that coconut. Come on, people.
maybe I'll do a margarita for your show, or I know I have Mai Tai around here, pre-mixed Kaloa Town Mai Tais, so those are pretty easy. Just throw some ice in the cup.
He sent over a video of Homer Simpson laying in a hammock, pouring Duff beer in a coconut with a little umbrella in it.
Oh man. So let's see. I don't know how many other Hawaiian things I have around here.
Besides your wardrobe?
Well, my wardrobe is just cargo pants and a Hawaiian shirt with that.
Exactly.
Coming for
All
you,
your
Hawaii.
Is that some kind of tiki doll or something? Hula doll?
It's Kamehameha.
Yeah, people were actually saying that on the local newspaper website that they ought that if people are going to start taking down Confederate statues, we ought to take the head off of the Kamehameha statue up in Hawaii, north part of town. Yeah,
Is nothing sacred?
Well, I don't know. It was more like somebody's idea of an analogy.
Do you have a pineapple in there?
I don't have any pineapples
Well,
right now.
there goes your authentic Hawaiian.
Well, people run out of pineapples. They have to go to the store.
And you call yourself an authentic Hawaiian.
I don't call myself an authentic Hawaiian. I just live here.
Yeah, he's a transplant from California.
Yeah, I've been living here for 20 years. I mean, but
He got out before it burned down.
Well, no, my place did burn down in Hawaii.
Oh, that's right, yeah. You got
Yeah.
it after it burned down.
If I lived in Hawaii right now, I'd probably my handle on YouTube would be never enough Manapuas or never enough Masubi.
Yeah, I mean, never enough poi. Well, the thing is, you can live here for 20 years, but unless you're like a fourth generation Hawaiian, that you'll never be considered a local. And so I don't even bother to try. I mean, to anybody that visits, like a tourist, if I tell them I'm living here for 20 years, they'll say, "Oh, you're a local." Not really.
But Hawaii is part of America, and you're
TIA,
American, so you're
TIA.
local.
TIA. This is America. That's what I tell anybody. Time I run into some Hawaiian sovereignty guy, it's like, whether you like it or not, TIA. This is America.
You just need to carry around that song "Living in America" on your, on like a
Cell phone.
on your cell phone. Just blast it anytime they say something.
What movie was that in? Was that in an Eddie Murphy movie or something?
Oh,
It
living
was
in
Rocky 3, Rocky 4, Rocky
Yeah.
4,
Rocky IV.
Rocky 4. James Brown.
All right. So, Oily, what's your show going to be about on Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still haven't decided. It's been one of
Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not?
I haven't decided what this show is going to be about yet, and we're already in like past an hour. So,
no, I really don't know.
Well,
They're trying to think.
You
of
can do the
something-
same thing we did tonight. Just make it up as you go along and throw a rant in the middle, and you'll be fine.
I think maybe we ought to do something to do with like air quality. Like if you live near a chemical plant.
or a volcano that puts out several million tons of sulfuric acid every day.
Not according to Al Gore.
Well, no.
When he did that, when I saw the trailer in a movie theater for his Inconvenient sequel, I got up and I basically was yelling bullshit at the screen. I like, why are they making us watch this crap just to see the movie I wanted to really see?
I'm super serial, guys. Okay, Man Bear Pig is real.
Man, Bear Pig.
Well, according to Gore, the polar ice cap should have already melted, and it should have already flooded.
I know why. How come my place isn't oceanfront then? I'm still like one block up from the ocean instead of right on it. It'd be worth more if I was right on it, and then I can move to my volcano, sell this oceanfront condo, and instead of a block away from the ocean, I could buy my volcano prepper sanctuary, or something like that.
So, if the ocean levels were to rise, why not build a butt ton of desalination plants and pump water inland to all the places that have droughts, all the deserts, and build man-made aquifers like they have in other places. Like I know in San Antonio, they've got a man-made aquifer where they store water.
Well, they did that at the Taj Mahal, didn't they?
I don't know.
Squib, you've been taught one thing. And that's
What?
to not think.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
You've been a Marine. You gotta stop that.
Yeah,
Just have to follow orders.
Everybody.
that's damn right.
Follow orders or people get killed.
Yeah. No, just follow orders. No.
Have you guys seen that video of that one senator? I can't think of his name. He's African American, but he said, talking about Guam, that if the population gets too high, wouldn't it capsize?
Nice. Well, if that's the case, then on the Big Island, it should be leaning to the right, then, right, Hawaii?
Well, except for he said capsize, because that's what he
Yeah.
said. Capsize.
There's a lot of big Tongans here that come. They build great brick. They build great volcano black rock walls. But those guys Tongans are very large people, big boned.
Like Samoans?
Yeah, Samoans, Tongans, the Samoans.
Dwayne Johnson.
If Guam,
Oh,
if
you
Guam
just made me
capsizes, how
smile.
am I going to get beetle nuts?
Oh my goodness, Oily.
He is handsome. He's handsome.
Wait,
Okay.
Oily likes Rock. Oily likes Dwayne Johnson.
I'm face palming right now. This.
That's okay. He's handsome. He's like hot chocolate. He's like milk chocolate. We'll call him that. Milk chocolate.
Wasn't somebody on a recent show complaining about how bad milk chocolate was for people?
What? It's healthy food.
I don't care. That just makes me want it more.
Okay.
Like banning guns. It just makes you want them more.
Exactly.
That's what's happening on Gunbroker with the price of bump stocks. I think they're over $500 for a cheap plastic piece of crap.
And it's just like talking about Bitcoin. It makes you want it less.
Well, then how come the price went over $6,000 just a few days ago per coin? I mean, when everybody realizes the fiat currency is, and all the markets have been rigged, and the banks there's a major currency crisis, people are going to need to switch to something else, and all that money is going to go into Bitcoin, and because gold and silver you can't distribute that to everyone as easily as you can. I mean, you can have everybody download the Google app on their cell phone and send everybody some Bitcoin over the internet. When the United Nations Human Refugee Program dealt with the Syrian problem, how they dealt with Syrian refugees is they gave them, each one of them, a phone with Bitcoin preloaded onto it.
Okay, so I figured out how many Bitcoin you'd need at that price to get your infinity pool.
70 million.
11,667 Bitcoin.
At what price? At $6,000?
$6,000 a coin.
Yeah, well, I don't have 11,000 Bitcoin. But
Well,
what if Bitcoin goes up to $1 trillion? How many coins do I need then?
Trillion.
Yeah.
When you say that, do you put your pinky finger to your lip? $1 trillion.
Trillion! $1 trillion. Lifestyles of the rich and famous, motherfucker.
So
We are in the home of Hawaii Volcano Squad. As you see, he's styled it in a more American fashion. I don't know.
yeah. Well, let me know when you get to 1 Bitcoin.
If it hits $1 trillion, I won't even need 1 Bitcoin.
Well, yeah, I guess mathematically you're right. Yeah.
And then you will love us and you will share with us. No, I'm just kidding. That'll be
I
like
love you anyway.
I will meet you with a gun at the end of my driveway. That's what I tell everybody when they say they'll come to my house.
Well, will it be aimed at them though if they visit you?
I mean,
you must have a very interesting Christmas party.
No, in some circles that is a sign of friendship.
No, if the poo-poo hits the fan.
Like the Romulans that they always like an activated.
She said she'll meet you with a gun, not a disruptor.
Saying if the poo-poo hits the fan and people start showing up at my house because they know I prep, I'm going to meet them in the driveway with the gun because I've already told them they need to be prepping for themselves because I can't afford to prep for everybody in the whole dang world.
Yeah, she's definitely taking some medication tonight.
I'm really not. I took herbs.
What
And not the one you're thinking of probably, but I took some herbs earlier.
Okay, some mystery
It's
oily
just
herbs.
oregano.
Just oregano.
It's a little basil in there.
It's not oregano, it's oregano. Oregano.
I'm sure if you have a good lawyer, he can make a judge by that.
That's what they call it over there. They call it Oklahoma oregano.
In Hawaii, it's called pakalolo.
Pakalala?
Pakalolo. Lolo means bad, and you have a pack of bad, basically. Pakalolo.
Heck of bad. Why is it bad?
That's just what they call it. Like if I was a bad person, they could call me Lolo. But if you got a Pakalolo, then you got to pick a badass weed.
And that was your Hawaiian language barrier lesson for the day.
Yes, in case you ever they'll just if you're a tourist in Hawaii, you're probably just gonna wind up buying bunk, a bag of something that looks like weed but really isn't.
Raphael says catnip.
Oh,
Strike reference.
I wouldn't know. Does he still do a show?
Tuesday nights, 9:00.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
after Tactical Tuesday.
that explains it. All right. So is it time to get to the chapa?
I think so. We can't run this into the ground any more than it already is. Typical night on lock and load.
We could hashtag urine this thing and go all the way into the ground.
Okay, so Squib and Jared are going to invade North Korea for next week's show.
Yes, yes,
And-
we'll be broadcasting live. Well, okay, we might not
Do they
broadcast
have any
live.
cell towers?
Well, I
And,
was going to say, what if we run out of data on our calling plans and we can't get Wi-Fi? So,
in Korea, are you kidding? As long as you're south of the DMZ, you should be able to get. It's just when you invade the north that you'll
yeah, that's
have
what
a
I
problem
mean.
finding
Yeah.
cell towers.
Like we really have to get up high and onto a hill or something like that and take the high
Well, you-
ground to
Parachute
signal.
in. Parachute in.
Man,
Jump
I ain't
out of
jumping
the
out of a
car,
perfectly
go out
good
of a-
aircraft.
Jump.
No way. You can hover.
Right out of the bomb bay out of a B-52.
I am not Slim Pickens. No, I will fast rope, but I am not jumping out of a plane with a parachute.
I'm with you, Squib.
Well, you'll make a smaller target.
Down anyway,
and a-
I ain't jumping out of it.
You won't present a radar silhouette on a parachute, but you will in a helicopter.
You get in low, you do nap of the earth flying, you get in over the LZ, you drop a rope out the back. Tie off to the
So you're
Schwimmer
gonna go all the way to Korea and just fly a helicopter into a hill.
No, around it. Nap of the earth flying means you fly around the terrain low to the ground, but you use that terrain to block your image on radar. So you're just following the contour.
Hints below.
All you have to worry about are the 8 million men under armed forces with their AKs shooting up at you.
Oh, no. Raphael says bring some KFC. Yeah, you know what? If I threw them food, they'd probably lay down their arms because they're starving.
Long enough to eat it, probably.
It's finger licking good, man.
Well, but they won't even know what it is. They've never seen a chicken.
What if I brought Colonel Sanders to replace Kim Jong-un, right?
There is no that all
he's
they
got a
have
little
is
suit, right?
Colonel
He's got a
Sanders
little-
is dead. You'd have to bring just fake. You may as well be better off bringing that fake Kim Jong Un actor with you, and maybe they'll follow his orders to surrender.
Maybe. I still like the idea of bringing them KFC. Just start throwing that. They all stop shooting. They're picking up all this fried chicken off the ground.
Yeah, well, just
they're
tell
going
them,
into
just get a
food comas.
speaker and say in Korean that if you lay down your arms, you can have this nice chicken.
I will get Google Translate to help me with that.
Just do the chicken in every pot.
That's your tactical assignment for next week. Learn how to say, we'll trade your chicken for AK. We'll trade
You know,
your
out of all the
AK.
nationalities I work with, there are no Koreans there. Oh wait, Sean Ponnery's half Korean. I'll ask him how to say it.
Well, I was wondering. I was hoping he would be here to try and get the high altitude research project gun question, but you already kind of
Ruined it.
Ruined
Okay,
I
Squib,
did.
Squib, you take the Colonel over there, and you replace him with Kim Jong Un, and then he can give the a chicken in every pot speech.
Kind of like 40 acres and a mule, but a chicken in every pot.
Well, they should
Yeah,
surrender
like
for.
Roosevelt. Wasn't it Roosevelt who did that? Chicken in every pot?
Did
That's
he?
what got him elected? I believe it was Roosevelt.
Which time?
Just tell them we're gonna airdrop a bunch of chicken in that big sports stadium they have in North Korea, and then when they all get there, you drop the nuke.
Or Hoover, sorry.
Raphael says, let the smell waft across the border. They will walk across a minefield for that. I don't know if they will for KFC, but bacon, I would walk across a minefield for bacon.
I'm not allowed to eat bacon anymore or
It was
cheese
perfect.
Well,
pizza.
we'll take your portion over there too. Thank you for donating.
It was Herbert Hoover. Sorry. Chicken in every pot and a car in every garage. See? Now we just have to build them garages first, and then give them each
Okay,
car.
get to the chopper. We'll see you next week, folks.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.